All aboard. Hello and welcome back to another video, and in this one we'll be taking a look at this rather fantastic Mamod steam wagon, also known as the Mamod SW1, Steam Wagon 1. This came out in 1973. There's also a blue version, but that came out later on in 1988. For those not familiar, Mamod was around since 1937, the Mamod being like a combination of names, and what it is a series of static and moving vehicles and appliances that are operated by steam. So really fantastic. You won't get anything like this in the modern day and age, because the way in which they work is they're all basically a metal cylinder. You fill them with water, you heat them up with either methanol or solid fuel tablets later on. It heats up the water, generates steam, and then obviously you can use that to drive things, either motion or power tools or things like that. Now, the reason you won't get them this day and age is if it goes wrong, if your pressure release valve fails or whatever, the thing would essentially explode. And as well as that, you've got fire and you've got boiling hot metal when they're up and running. So they're just a thing of the past, but they're absolutely fantastic. And what I'll show you first before we go into the Mamod is actually my own one that I've had for probably about 6 or 7 years, and that's my static engine. So I'll show you that, which gives us kind of the principles of how they work, and then I'll show you this great steam wagon. So I've always been a fan of steam. I think it's absolutely great. It just harks back, you know, when steam engines go past and you smell them, or you go to those, you know, those events and there's someone with a static engine. There's just something about the sound, the smell, all that kind of stuff. And I spotted one of these. I'd never heard of it. I got this about 7 years ago, and this is a Mamod SE2, so a stationary engine 2. And there's lots of different models. There's the SE1, and they're all in different versions. And what you can see on the side here is it comes on a base plate with like a little wheel on the side, and this one's supposed to have this green burner. I've got a slightly different one, but we'll see that inside. So the way in which they work, get this out. The box is a bit warped on this one. I haven't really been able to do much with it. And sometimes I restore things for other people better than I do my own stuff, because I kind of just keep my stuff how they come. So here we have the static engine, and as you can see, you basically have your metal cylinder here, which is on just kind of a housing where the fuel will go. So you'll fill this with your methanol and put this inside, and that's after you've opened this up, filled this with water. So this is all going to be boiling away with the fuel supply underneath, like so. And then this is your pressure relief valve. So when there's too much pressure builds up, this top section works on a spring and will basically open up. So it goes like so. See how it raises up? So that's really important when you're looking at these. Make sure that is functioning. On this one, you can also do a little whistle. So you can move this section here and it'll whistle. But other than that, you can see the steam then either travels inside or it comes out of here, and it can recirculate and come out, or it comes down to here, and depending on whether this pipe is open or not will determine whether it recirculates or it comes back down here to drive the wheel. So that's like the principles of it. It's a little bit easier to see, and then the kind of things that you can then drive. So like with this one here, and I know I'm digressing, but it's better to just do the one video than two ones, is you could then have that wheel that you just saw driving this wheel here, because you attach basically this to here, and as you can see, this is a mini little setup of a number of different things. So there is like a hammer that comes down there, a little polishing thing saying there and there. So that's like a static one, and equally I'll show you how this can be driven by the other one, but that's basically how it works. So we'll put that to one side. So with the steam wagon, condition wise, so it's probably better to show it in the two parts. What you can do is you can take the flatbed parts off like so, and on the flatbed there's just a very light bit of surface wear here and rust, a little bit of rust just inside there and there, small patches because it's obviously been played with outdoors as it goes along, but I've cleaned it up. It's just very minor kind of patina from its age. I mean, we're talking 73. You've got the fact that it's got water and steam and stuff anyway with its operation. And then inside you have this main part here, which is our bit for the bed. just some light pitting you can see on there. There's some light bubbling there, but actually pretty, and a little bit on the arches, but actually pretty good condition. The paint's still nice and green and black and red. And so what you can see here is it's a very similar principle. At the back here, we can lift this section off. Some two little kind of attachments, as I'll show you in a moment. Okay, so the way this one works is you have almost like this tender here, and you fill this up with methanol. So something like this, you can find it readily online, methanol 99.95%. You fill this up until it's glugging to the top. You've got this little bit of a guard here where you're holding the end, and basically you'll have already filled the cylinder in heat. It's kind of hidden away in this one, it's inside there with water, and the way you do that is unscrew this, use the little funnel. Did I get the funnel out? Use a funnel like this, or just pour it directly in, and that will fill the cylinder up. I like to start with boiling a kettle and filling it like that because it saves time with having to heat it with the methanol. So you'll have filled that full of water, and then I would suggest from this side here, or maybe just lifting up, you then feed in you set fire to it, feed in your burner like so, and then there's two little catches, so you then put it on like that. So that's it now, ready and burning away. Once the pressure is built up, you can see you've got this combination of pipes here, which will then drive this cylinder here, which will turn. That in turn drives this wheel here, and then again you've got these kind of metal, almost like metal elastic bands, that will drive this wheel here, and then that will drive that one there, and so you'll get your motion of it driving along. One thing I don't have, and I'll see if I can source it, is you can see in there there's this little screw fit. You basically can just put like a bit of a lead on it, so you tie it in, and then you can hold it, and that way you can kind of pull, just drag it around. The wheels naturally turn, but you can kind of drag it around. Now what you can also do is, rather than driving these rear wheels, because this is being turned by the engine, you could, in theory, just take the longer one that I showed you on the other thing, and rather than use it for motion, you would attach it around here, and this would go off, and you could drive something instead using just the engine part. So what I've done is I've cleaned it all up. I've checked inside, and I've also checked this pressure relief valve, cleaned it all up. So again, you want to look for that bit there moving nice and freely. So I've cleaned everything out, and what I've also done, in just where there's a moving part, just use something like this 3-in-1 multi-purpose oil just to move things freely. So kind of where the cylinder is here, on the wheels, on the bearings, stuff like that. So the next thing we're going to do is, for the very first time, I'm going to fill up a kettle. I've got my methanol, my light to hand. I'm going to go into the garden, and fingers crossed we don't blow ourselves up. So I'll do a fade out now, and I'll see you in the garden. Okay, so here we are, set up outside. It's cold and windy, but it shouldn't matter too much on the flame inside there once it's inside, because it should be fairly well shielded. So the tank's full of like kind of semi-boiling water from the kettle to help speed things up. It's full of the flammable liquid now in there. Got my windproof lighter. Yeah, so here we go. Fingers crossed I don't blow myself up. Okay, so now we wait. It's getting close. It wants to, doesn't it? Just getting a bit of steam escaping there, I think. So we're at pressure because I'm getting. So I think we're losing a bit of
think we're losing our steam here. Right, you can see there, look, as I give it a nudge, it wants to come in and out. It's just losing steam in here at the minute. So what I'm going to have to do is watch here, look, see, it wants to. Okay, so what I need to do is I'll take the fuel out, I'll go inside, and then I'll try and work on this section here. So I'll just show you by hand. As you can see, you've got the three pipes leading in there, which does lead me to believe it's going to be forwards, nothing, and reverse. I've removed this part here, so that's the handle, the spring that kind of holds it in place, and then this is the part on the other side in which the cylinder moves in and out. And so you can see there's just the one hole, larger hole for the pivot that allows it to move up and down, and then the smaller hole is what then drives this to move in and out. So it moves out, loses its pressure, and then kind of goes back in again. So what I'm going to do now is just clean up the end of this and clean up inside here. So remove some of the carbon. I'll probably put a spot of grease around the sides here. I'll rebuild it and we'll see if that works any better when we go outside again. Okay, so that's rebuilt now. Seems to be moving nice and freely. You still have a bit of movement here. I think that's again for a bit of either pressure relief or just to allow this to move, because you can only tighten it up so far. And obviously that hole is then moving between them. I can't see any, the solder's all fine here. We're not losing anything out of the pipes. It's definitely getting in there. So I'm hoping that just taking that off, cleaning it out inside, a bit of oil, which should now allow this to move a little bit more freely when it gets there. But yeah, it's definitely like an off, a reverse, and a fast forward. So either of these positions we should get some movement. Right, so I'll fill up the kettle again, and keep your fingers crossed. I'll see you outside again. Okay, so the astute amongst you will notice in a second I'm wearing a different pair of clothes. It's because the light just vanished last night, so I went inside to do a bit of tweaking, came out and it was pitch black. It's now impossible to film. I've been out during the day today to see my family, just got back now and I'm racing against the light again. I've oiled things up, I've just tweaked things, so fingers crossed we can get the engine moving with a bit of power, and then hopefully it will then also have enough to drive the wheels. So anyway, let's see. The wind's died down as well today, which is a little bit better. As you can see there, you can see why this is not a kid's toy anymore. Even just had a little bit of extra methanol just spilling on there, setting fire to the moss, etc. So I've already got the boiling water in there. I think it's around half full, maybe a little bit more. You want to leave a bit of room for the, for the steam, etc. to fill. Some of the later ones actually have like a little glass thing here rather than a nut, so you can see how full it is and kind of choose the right amount. But yeah, the wind's a little lower. Got the flame going there. Can already see some bubbling up in the whistle there, so we're already getting some nice amounts of steam. Now what I found last night was just nudging the wheel seemed to get it moving a little bit more freely, so I'll try that. So this would be in a neutral position, this is reverse, nothing quite yet, this is forwards, just starting to move a little on its own, so we'll let it build up a bit more. There we go, so we're getting that's a nice strong turn there, that's really good. Well, let's try reverse. Yeah, it's really giving it some beams now, that's great. So what I want to do is, let's see if we can start by driving this wheel here. There, you can see that turning nicely now, but when I touch it, it's slowing down. So I'm not sure we're going to get enough drive to drive the rear wheels, because it doesn't have a lot of torque. Reverse is really strong. So I'm finding reverse is really strong, but not so much forwards. Let's just see if I can drive it in reverse. So you can see actually we've got enough there in reverse. It does want to move in reverse. Right, so here we are at the end of the video. I'm back inside, just lost the light again. So let's chat about what happened there. We had the steam engine fired up without any of the bands on, and for interest, the band here goes from the outside here down to the groove on this wheel here, and then to drive the rear one, there's a like a pulley bracket just on the inside of each of those wheels. So what we saw was it was really moving quite freely without the bands attached, especially in reverse. Reverse was really strong, and at moments forward was strong as well, but not as strong. And then when we attached the band on, we did actually at one point in reverse see it, especially when I lifted it up, the wheel trying to move. And I think if you have it on a flat surface rather than the cobbled one, because you've really got to help this thing out, I think we probably would have got it moving in either way. Something like this this flat bench, I think we probably would have had it both ways, more likely in reverse. What I saw was a little bit of steam just escaping just through the top. It was doing what it's supposed to do through the pressure relief valve. I was getting some steam out of there. Couldn't see any of the steam escaping anywhere. So I think it's maybe just a combination of just maybe some tightening up, a different washer maybe, possibly even getting another set of these, because being a little bit too loose or too tight can have a big difference on the way that the power is transmitted. But you could see it's working, it's functioning, it's certainly turning when the extra weight isn't attached, and you know, no faults, no explosions, so that was all good. I've already shown you all the conditions, you know, minor little spots of rust here and there. But it's nice to show you it working, and so I think that's now at a stage where it can go into the next owner, and the next owner can kind of experiment with oil and washers and different size things, or just use it as a nice item to keep, or just have this section running. What you get is the base portion here with the engine. You get the top parts here, as you've already seen. Couple of these, although you might want to experiment with some fresh ones that are maybe the correct size. Just search for Mamod Steam Wagon SW1 drive bands, and then you've got the rear section here with the you know, with the stove or whatever you want to call it, and the way that just attached was it hooks on like this. So yeah, it just goes through like so. But I hope you've enjoyed that. That was the SW1. The Steam Wagon 1 by Mamod, released in 1973. If you did enjoy the video, please like, share, comment, subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel. And until the next one, all the best. Take care and see you.